Now, the island of Corsica has officially been part of France since the 1700s, but the debate and battle for its independence from Paris has been a pretty constant one, with a bloody 40-year war against the French state finally coming to a close just 4 years ago. But while that violent push to split from the rest of the country has ended, nationalist parties have been gaining votes in recent elections. Unlike wealthy Catalonia in Spain, Corsica is more isolated and accounts for less than 0.5% of France's economy. Our reporters Clifford and Jonathan Walsh bring us today's Focus Report.
Nestled in the mountains, Corsica's only university. Local culture is closely weaved into academic life here at Corte, with Corsican language classes compulsory across all programs for its 4,600 students. This class of future teachers share a strong desire to pass on the bilingual baton.
I'd like to be a primary school teacher, but not if I can't teach Corsican, because that's how I'd be able to pass on this culture and this language and give others the opportunity that I've had.
For some, this ambition is more deeply rooted in politics.
Personally, as a separatist, I think that every country has its language, so in this case, the Corsican language. Although Corsica hasn't been recognized as a country yet, I think we need to sustain it.
A vision widely shared across Corte's corridors, and not just by students. A former nationalist deputy, Patricia, fought to revive her language and bring it to the curriculum. Teaching Corsican back in the 70s, she says, was a militant act.
Our goal was also to breathe new life into Corsica through language and culture. This was also a new political force. And today it's clear to see that at the university, the student unions are predominantly nationalist.
Hardline nationalist unions have the monopoly here, the most powerful, the Gioventù Paolina. Its members celebrate the recent success of the nationalist coalition in territorial elections, but they have their sights set on higher goals.
The nationalist victory is just a first phase because the armed conflict has been over for years now, and that's something that we can be proud of. We would start off with an autonomous status, which is of course non-negotiable and of great significance, and then move towards independence.
Outside the university's walls, the struggle for independence is deeply rooted within the surrounding town of Corte's history. This building in particular, the Palazzi Nazionali, the centre point of the island's fleeting era of independence in the 18th century, sandwiched between Italian and French rule.
In 1755, it became the headquarters of the national government, the only one that Corsica ever had, that of Pascal Paoli, which fell in 1769.
Watching over the town, Pascal Paoli remains the poster boy for nationalism. During his brief stint, he also found time to establish a university. Refounded in his name in 1981, Corte represents the training grounds for the movement's current leaders, and likely its future ones.
If you're aiming for a political career as a nationalist, Corte University is the place to be. The progression and breakthrough of nationalist ideas was likely to have been boosted by the work and thought processes of the students and academics of this university.
The youth vote was key to the nationalists' recent victory in territorial elections, within a coalition bringing together autonomists and separatists under an agreement to seek more autonomy and put aside independence. On many students' minds here, frustration with traditional parties, a desire for cultural recognition, and fears of economic dependence on the French state.
They may be the only ones who can encompass this need for a new direction that can be felt at the heart of the Corsican society. I think that we can see the same thing on the national level. If Macron was elected, it's because of this hope for a new start.
For now, the goal is to achieve autonomy, to show that it's possible. Then we'll see if Corsica is ready for independence later. But I think today Corsicans aren't ready. Corsica isn't ready for it now.
The overriding sentiment at Corte may be clear, but topics within the nationalist cause remain sensitive. Juventud Paulina, like the coalition, calls for the release of all jailed nationalist fighters. Debate between the union's members gets heated around Ivan Colonna, the man convicted of shooting dead regional prefect Claude Erignac in 1998.
In the case of Ivan Colonna, it was an open war, so to speak, as to whether we ought to support him or not. But now, today, there are a lot of political prisoners. And let's say it's not such an important question anymore.
I completely disagree with what's just been said. Ivan Colonna, just like the other political prisoners, will always be supported by the nationalist community, and above all, by Juventud Paulina.
The group all have some form of a community link to one of the dozen jailed fighters. But though their support for these symbolic figures is unwavering, their vision of achieving independence is a very different one. An inherited fight they want to take step by step via the negotiating table.
Time now to catch up with all the latest from the world of sport.